I just realized all of that was on mute. I apologize. This is the raw reaction. Inter Miami wins 5-1 in a game that I think was good for the soul of a lot of these players. Inter Miami needed this. I think a couple of players on this team really needed this. And I'm excited to talk about it. Saur, good for the soul.
Oh, great for the soul. 5-star performance. That's what we needed. Is this team good again? Well, it was always good. We just needed to play a certain way. No, fantastic game. I think exactly what we needed after that 3-0 loss to Cincinnati. We saw two of the best assists of this season in one game, one from Messi, one from Busquets. My goodness, when this team can play, this team can play. um, Beautiful, man. Everyone showed up. I thought Messi, obviously, again, man of the match performance, but this didn't seem like a game where he had to carry us single handedly. It felt very close to what we saw a lot of the times last season, where Busquets, Alba, Messi, Suarez combining with proper patterns of play. You add Segovia to that mix, and it just looked so pretty at times. Um, I was very concerned for the first 15 minutes because it didn't look good. Probably the worst we've looked. And that was exactly what we were complaining about of how Javi Mascherano has set this team up. And then as soon as we conceded after the 15 minutes, it felt like on the pitch decided to bin the game plan and go and play their own brand of football. For the first time, I think, in the last 2 months, I saw Alba and Messi actually use that same pattern of play again and again in this game. And it just looked so good. So good, man. Cruise control throughout after those first 15 minutes. Second half, we started maybe let the foot off the gas a little bit and let Red Bulls back in for a little bit. But again, stepped up when it mattered. As we hit the next gear, Red Bulls did not know what hit them. This is like the perfect feel good opponent for Inter Miami now, where I think if you are in a bad rot of form, you just play Red Bulls and then you can feel good again about yourself. Very happy with that performance. Well done. On to the next. Play the same against Cincy.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how the chat going to respond to that game because, um, like you said, the first 15 minutes were like as bad as it could get. Um, and then there was like a 10-minute stretch where it was just as good as it could get. And then I thought it was like you saw some like really amazing players do some really amazing things, and Inter Miami broke the Red Bulls and they win 5-1, as this team has always been and always will be capable of doing. I think we looked at what happens when you let superstar talents just do what they think is right and how they feel express themselves on the pitch. I think Jordi Alba is the player I'm giving the most credit to. I thought him deciding I'm going to go be a part of our offense after that first New York Red Bulls goal, I thought changed the entire game. And I thought as soon as he got Inter Miami looked like everything Inter Miami could. And obviously, he was a big part of that. He scores the first goal. I think he gets an assist on the second goal, or maybe he gets like the hockey assist. I have to go back and rewatch. But um, like I thought that changed everything. And then you see some later goals, right? That Busquets pass, things like that. That's just the type of pure class that we get with this roster. But whew, it was amazing. The weird thing is, and we'll get into this. So I guess I'm just going to say this without wanting to go in depth yet. I actually thought there was some like poor performances from certain players, and despite that, this team won 5-1, which shows you that when this team is playing like they should, they are so much better than everyone else. And the fact that we don't see this more consistently, I'm not saying you have to win every game 5-1, but the fact that you don't see similar performances on a consistent basis, right? 60% of the time, 75% of the time. That's, I think, what is so frustrating because we know this is there for them. And anyone that said Jordi Alba fell off a cliff, I think saw tonight that he absolutely can be a dynamic player. Okay. Let's
By the
get
way,
to Go ahead.
Before you start with the chat, I just want to point out Janina has joined us for the first time on YouTube. She's been listening and she says, "Happy to see our faces." I just want to say thank you so much for joining. It's great. The raw reactions are always fun. So get involved in the chat. And I'll be honest, we're not markers, so you're not missing anything. But still, great to have you here.
Speak for yourself, my friend. No, you just need the beard back. You'll be fine.
I do.
The other thing I wanted to say, Nick Smith, happy birthday, my friend.
Happy birthday, my friend. You wanted that and you deserved it. There you go. 5-star performance for you.
David says Cello and Falcone were good today. I do want to give Cello specifically credit because he was like really, really poor for like a game stretch. I don't think he was like phenomenal today, but
No.
the jump from where he was the last 3 games to today was an immense jump. And so if he plays like this, like I think we're all fine with Cello and happy with him being there. So let's start there. Great to see Cello is not nursing some injury that makes him impossible to have a good game like this. I thought he was totally solid in this game. Falcone, I thought he was okay.
I think he was one of the better defenders. He was better than
okay,
he who shall not be named. There you go.
Anton says Lujan actually played well. He did have a moment in that first 15 minutes where he had 4 straight touches were turnovers. But I think a lot of players were playing poor in that first 15 minutes. So I guess I won't crucify him for it. But I definitely think the stars of the show were
The
Alba,
forwards.
Segovia, Busquets, not our defensive line and or Rocco. But again, it's a 5-1 game. Like I'm all
Rocco had
positive.
that beautiful save that kept it at 3-1. And that's why we went on to score 3 more goals or 2 more goals. Okay. He had a man of the match performance in goal for 5 minutes.
Mark says there's nothing Redondo does that I can't do. Again, I'm in a super happy, positive mood right now. So I'm not really in the mood to say bad things about anyone, but I would definitely classify Redondo as one of the players that like was along for the ride on this.
I will say,
spectacular performance.
Since this is the raw reaction, I do want to mention, I don't know how Redondo performed. Like I'll need to rewatch that game to truly understand the nuance of it. I messaged you on the side while the game going on. I was like, is Redondo playing well? Is he playing utterly poor? And I couldn't make up my mind at the end of 90 minutes. I thought he was a couple of good moments from here and there, a couple of poor ones. So I'll still need to do the analysis in that. And I don't want to talk poorly without doing that analysis. But I didn't think he stood out particularly like some of the other players in the forward line.
On the topic, I will say I thought Yannick Bright had an immaculate 25 minutes. I think he had one moment in like the 93rd minute where he dribbles into 2 guys and loses the ball. But I thought aside from that, he was like, as soon as he gets back on the pitch, you see the ball winning. He starts stealing the ball and it's just like, okay.
And forward passes, man. He's starting to do more forward passes than the player who was brought in to do the forward passes.
There was a moment where he is dribbling forward. I think he dumps it to Messi, but he continues making the run. And then the ball goes to Kramaski wide. And I'm not sure if he goes to Messi, then to Kramaski, or if he goes straight to Kramaski. But he makes the run in behind it, and he wants the ball back from Kramaski to take a shot on goal, or at least to put in a cross on goal. And Kramaski kind of, puts it towards Suarez, and the play dies out. But I think we are getting closer to Yannick Bright's first goal. Okay,
guys, welcome back to the Yannick Bright Show. It has been a pleasure. We did not have this opportunity for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but now we're back. So strap in for the ride.
Gabriella says this game was a mess in a lot of ways, both good and bad. The highs are just so incredibly, and they overshadowed the lows. But certainly, I think when we get into tomorrow and we start dissecting this game in more depth, like I think there was a lot that Inter Miami could improve upon, which is a good thing. And so if you're Inter Miami, if you're Javier Mascherano, you give the boys a nice clap and you say, great job. But then you hit the film room and you start working on tomorrow or Monday in training and you say, listen, we should have been better defensively in this. But obviously, Rocco on the goal needs to be a bit better. How you defend set pieces against bigger bodies, you got to figure that. Like there are things you can improve on. But if you can have a 5-1 game that still has ways for you to get better, like in a lot of ways for a coach, that's the perfect scenario because you get the 5-1 win that everyone feels good about and the fans are super happy about, but also you are still finding ways to make your team better. So
I do want to caveat though, because unlike the previous performances where we got the result, but the performance was utterly poor and we only looked good for 5-10 minutes in the pitch where Messi was fantastic, I think the highs in this game were actually really high,
yeah,
close to the levels that we've been used to from this team. And for the first time, I think in 5-6 weeks, I saw an attack that was coherently playing well. We didn't even see this in the Club World Cup because obviously we were playing a different style of football, but it felt like everyone in that game, in that forward, along with Alba, was trying to get involved. These were the patterns that I was missing in the last few months, and I think we need to work on those more. So I do want to caveat that and add that little bit of optimism that the highs looked very, very good.
yeah, I think again, there was some moments where they got conservative again, but again,
Absolutely,
you end up winning
absolutely.
5-1. I'm not going to complain about it. Naya says brace Messi. He had a free kick opportunity in like the 89th minute, 90th minute, and I just was 1,000% confident he wasn't going to score there because he had already scored his two game. That makes 6 braces in his last 7 games for Lionel Messi. That is kind of insane. Anton says it's so great to see Jordy getting up. Man of the match other than Messi. So I know you get the man of the match tomorrow, so I will leave the spoiler alert to you. I'll leave the spoilers for tomorrow, but I will say for me, I thought Jordy was the man of the match because he was the catalyst that turned everything good for Inter Miami. I know he doesn't get 2 goals, he only gets the 1, but and Messi may have outscored. For me, he was the catalyst for. I mean, he was the difference between what we've seen lately and what we saw in this game, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. And I still need to make up my mind on it. But I'll be honest, man, that assist from Messi in that first goal sort of makes me
It
think,
was
damn,
beautiful.
it has to be given for just for that assist
What's your,
because he
your
was
yes,
also
your decision?
involved. And it's my award. So I'll have to think about it. But I agree with you. Those two were the best players on the pitch. Even
Yeah,
Segovia, you
and
can make a case of
Segovia was
for.
great too.
Yeah.
Um, Ciano says, found the secret sauce. Go down a goal early with Rocco as goalkeeper, and it will make Miami play watchable football.
Yep.
Uh, he was. uh, I think them going down early was like the best thing that could have happened. Like if they did, if the Red Bulls scored that goal in the 70th minute, we might be looking at like a 1-0 loss. But the fact they scored it in the 14th minute just kicked Inter Miami into gear, and then it was an avalanche that the Red Bulls couldn't handle. Um, yeah.
One point of gripe: why do we have to wait for them to start to concede for them to start actually playing football? It's a little annoying because you can genuinely see the difference in the play style from one end to the other. And anyway,
And
on to the next.
well, and along those lines, I heard this team was too tired to play like that. It's like that was always a dumb excuse. It's always been the
The
philosophy
commentator
of this
said
team.
at the end that it was maybe the adrenaline that carried them through. I was like, no, it was not. They've been playing like this for the last 3 weeks or 3 months.
And the thing
Feels
is,
like
if
an
you did
eternity.
rotate appropriately, you could be doing this every single game.
Every single game. Yeah.
Every single game.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
you take Jordi Alba off one game, you take Busquets off the next game, you give Messi a rest the next game, you give Suarez a rest the next game, and you can play like every single game. So because it was very much a Jekyll and Hyde match and very frenetic. Again, I don't want to get too like I don't want to harp on the negatives of this game because I think Inter Miami fans should be ecstatic. We just won a game 5-1 on the road against a
I
playoff
will
team.
say
Like
though,
this is a great performance.
I thought that everyone would be like overly ecstatic with the result, but I'm glad to see that some people in the chat recognize that this wasn't a purely uh, perfection performance throughout the 90 minutes. There were some ups and downs. So, oh,
Yeah. Gabriella says this game reminded me of how we played last year. And it's, I think, a good
yeah,
reminder of what this team is capable of. Like, this is what they
exactly.
can be doing
Hmm.
consistently. Maybe not every single game. They will have a bad game. They will have a great opponent. They'll be on the, like, it's not that they can do this every single game, but they can do this 60, 70% of the time. And even if it doesn't result in a 5-1 win, but it results in a 3-1 win, a 3-0 win, a 3-2 win, like, you will, I think, win or
More than you
at
will lose.
least the same amount of games. And you're going to be playing much more exciting soccer, and all of your best players are going to get into form. Just like Jordi Alba today, gets himself into form. Now he feels great going into this game against Cincinnati, where, I don't think he felt particularly great going into the last game against Cincinnati. Now let's get Suarez going.
Yeah, he was getting close to it as well. I liked his performance this game.
Yeah, he had an assist to Messi. Listen, I think the stat came out that he has 9 assists on the season so far this year, which is a really nice number. We talked about Suarez recently, and you said something along the lines of, but if you're Suarez, you have to adapt yourself to this style of play. And I think he has adapted himself in some ways. His
He's
hold-up play this
trying.
year
Yeah.
is much better. His distribution this year, he's still a good distributor of the ball. And like I still think all of those things would be way better if we saw this like a more aggressive approach from Inter Miami. Nick Smith says, "Happy birthday to me." Anton says Yannick Bright is back. He was stealing balls from the get-go. I'm telling you, man, when you go rewatch this game, you're going to watch him. You're going to say, whew, it's excellent to have this player back, because I really thought for the first 25 minutes he did not put a foot wrong. JR says the first 15 was exhausting. Okay, so what did you think of the first 15 minutes?
I texted you about it, and I don't think we can repeat it on this channel. It was bad. It was the worst we've probably looked in the first 15 minutes than the entire season. We just could not hold the ball for the sake of holding the ball. Every single touch was just bouncing out of the park, and it was a terrible watch. And then the next 30 minutes was the best I felt watching Inter Miami play once. So it was a roller coaster of emotions, and I'll have to rewatch the game to analyze with a level head. But I think the first 15 minutes were probably the worst we've looked over the last at least 2 months.
Yeah, no, it was well. I think that looked like we were playing PSG, and it wasn't.
It wasn't
PSG.
it wasn't that bad. But like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think. Well, okay. If just being totally nitpicky, I think we learned something about what our team can do under intense pressure, especially our guys at the back. I think that was worth noting, and not just, I don't want to ultra pick on Lujan and Falcone, because Busquets had a bad turnover, Segovia had a turnover. Like, it was team wide, they didn't handle it well, but once they settled in and they figured it out, I mean, it was a wrap for the Red Bulls. Henry, Scotty, and Saur, we saw 3 incredible assists today. Okay, so the first goal, Messi's assist to Alba to set him up, was unbelievable. Then Busquets has that incredible ball to Messi, the through ball passes.
That's the longest through ball I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then Suarez has a really nice assist. But what is this Jordi Alba to Talasco Segovia assist that can't remember off the top of my head? Federico Redondo to Segovia. That one, I don't know if that was that nice of an assist.
No, that was
at least 3 really, really nice assists in this game.
Very nice assists, yeah.
Do you have a favorite on them?
I think the Busquets one is my favorite one, but also the Messi assist. Both of those were like peach perfection. 2 very different assists. Messi's was all about like disguised pass that nobody saw coming. Reminds me of the pass that he made against the Netherlands in the World Cup. And
you know what it reminds me of? His assist in this game 2 years ago when he has that crazy assist. I mean, I think from a television perspective, it's the most visually appealing assist he's ever had at Inter Miami, where he sees Benjamin Kremaski behind 6 defenders, somehow just puts it out there and then makes the run and gets the goal because Kremaski back to him. So he gets the hockey assist and the goal. That was the sort of like the same type of vision where, sometimes on TV you can sort of follow the play and think to yourself, like, it's hard to see on the field. You need great vision in the moment, but from the angle on TV, you can see it coming together. Even that, it was just like,
how
the ball got to Alba. And you're
also,
like,
Alba's finish was amazing.
Yeah,
it blasted into the corner.
CFW says, got on here with a 5-1 victory and no one is smiling.
We're smiling.
Yeah. Anton says that pass from Busquets, OMG. and a beautiful assist from Suarez. Let's talk about Suarez because he's not scoring, but he was definitely impactful in this game, um,
Second half.
especially in the second half. I think the thing about Suarez is he doesn't need to be athletic to be effective in this league. And we've seen that for him consistently. Uh, there are certainly moments where he's like losing the ball at his own feet. He's not coordinated enough to stay, like keep his body in a position to sort of make the touch or the pass or the shot that he needs. Like there have been some things that that you can definitely be frustrated and criticize about, but like he could still be an effective striker. And if you think about what Inter Miami faced on the other side, Choupo-Moting, who's a good MLS striker, and Julian Hall, who is just a young kid, like Suarez certainly was better than that. And so, like, I think we do get a little spoiled with Suarez sometimes, where it's like Suarez was the best striker in the league, and now he's like performing like the 12th best striker in the league, and we're acting like he needs to be cut from the team because he's still like an above average league, like an above average striker for the league. Um, so I just like I think there's maybe some perspective to have with Luis Suarez.
I also think there's some context that needs to be added to this performance. He still hasn't scored a goal in like 10 games. So,
Don't make
yes,
me bring
he
up
was
the
good
Palmeiras
this.
goal.
No,
That was only like
no.
6 games ago.
He still hasn't scored a goal in the MLS in God knows how
That's
long.
probably true.
He was good. He this thing where he comes back for the ball, instead of holding it and trying to go forward with it, he just passes it all the way back to the keeper or the defender. And that frustrates me so much. Other than that, I think he had a good performance. I'm not going to get carried away with anything. I still think his prime responsibility should be scoring goals. I thought Messi would actually give him a goal when he scored that second goal of his, when he walked it into the net. I thought he'd just square it to Suarez for an easy tap in, but he didn't, which was interesting. But I thought overall Suarez had a good, held up well, but also I think he was taking up some good positions in that second half. But that's what happens when he has space. When he doesn't have space, then it's a different story. But today I thought he had a good positive performance.
Misiano says, any chance Mascherano will learn from this and will stop the sort of harem ball?
Nope.
Let's talk about Mascherano because, listen, like, he put out his best lineup and they delivered a 5-1 win. And like
maybe he's right all along. Maybe we're the problem. Are we the problem? Maybe we
I don't know
are
about
the
the
issue.
problem,
Yeah.
but maybe we are just a knucklehead and a bozo on the
Yeah.
mic. That's certainly always possible. Like the first 15 minutes were as bad as it got. And I think the thing that changed was Jordi Alba said, I'm not doing this anymore. Give me the ball.
Yep.
And that felt like, I don't know if Mascherano said, do your thing, Jordi, or Jordi was like, I'm sick of this. But he started getting forward and Inter Miami became an entirely different team. And so if Mascherano learns, I actually maybe don't have to tell Jordi how to play. Like I could just let Jordi do what Jordi thinks is right. Then yeah. One of the things I do want to say, I don't want to go there because it's too negative. I Jordi maybe learns like, okay, whatever, man. I'm gonna go help us win this game right now. And if that's what we get out of this, I think that's a huge advantage. But I did still think there were some times where we got really comfortable sitting back, even when it was a chance to kill the game. But they certainly killed the game regardless. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
You have any thoughts on Mascherano today?
Well, his lineup won us the game 5-1, so I don't think I have
Okay, fair.
I can criticize him as much, but I will say needs to do it again. There's a few issues that we'll talk about tomorrow, but I don't want to get into them today. I think let's keep it positive with the raw reaction. Smile on our faces because we won 5-1.
Yeah, maybe the best thing is Inter Miami did this 2.5 months ago. They beat the Red Bulls 4-1, and then they went 4 straight really poor performances after that, 2 draws, 2 losses. So Do it again. And then we'll get excited. Taran says, I need Bright instead of Redondo. It's so good to see when he came on. He's a difference maker, dude. I keep saying it, but I was really impressed with him in the end.
He's so good. Also, can we play Red Bull every week?
Henry says, what I liked today was Rocco moved the ball faster, unlike Ustadi. What do you think of Rocco today? The goal was
I
on
thought
him,
he was,
no doubt. But
yeah.
aside from that one moment,
I thought other than the goal that he conceded, I thought he was good. Fine. Not too bad. I was more worried about him, and I think he didn't have much to do.
He didn't have much to do in terms of a shot stopper. He was obviously there to help.
He had one good save.
He did. You're right. He did have one good save. And so, the thing is, he's short and he has shorts. So he goes to punch a corner and he's not able to get to it. And so if that's what your goalkeeper is, I think you as a team need to learn how to protect him better. And so I think I'm not blaming the coaching staff for not having done it in this game, but now that they watch this, they need to know as long as he's in goal, that's what every team is going to do, is just put their biggest bodies all around him and just try and shut him out. And it's going to work. So they need to figure out, organize their defense to prevent that from happening. But that's something you do moving forward. Like I said, you won 5-1, but there's still things that you can look at and sort of work on to improve. Sean says Jordy is back to being team MVP like last year. I don't think I can say enough good things about Jordi Alba in this game, man. Seriously.
His best performance this season.
He cramped and eat up before the game. I don't know what to tell you. Nias says awesome defending. What did you think of the defense today?
I thought it was a little shaky.
I did too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taran says Messi top of the Golden Boot with 3 less games.
Can you believe that? He's just coming steaming through all the last 7 games.
Yeah, I want to check Sam Surge because I think they were saying Surge had a goal in this game. So I think they might be tied at 18. But
yeah, sorry,
it's quote me on that. So, but still, top of the and they do have less games played. And by the way, Messi's going to win the Golden Boot and he's going to win the MVP.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it enough because it feels like such a foregone conclusion to us. But that's definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Seabark says if Ustari was in goal, we would have won 5-0. I do think Ustari gets to that, but I'm not going to complain about it in a 5.
Just to add victory to the positivity, by the way, we still have to add Rodrigo de Paul to this team. Just saying.
Okay. I haven't seen a chat for it yet. I think I may have skipped one, but I think when DePaul gets here, they're going to put him next to Busquets. I think they should put him on the right, dude. I think they should take Allende out and put him there.
In the 4-4-2?
If they keep a 4-4-2. Because whether it's Yannick Bright, Kramaski, or Redondo, they are more effective right now in that defensive midfield role than Allende is, he was the worst player on the pitch.
Worst player, yeah.
And now it's been like 4 or 5 games. He looks like he's lost his confidence. And he's not good enough, even when he's on, to just play every game like this. So, I would have started Fafa there 2 games ago.
The problem is you compare that to Segovia, who's honestly, I think, the most improved player in this Inter Miami team this season. He's gone from stride to stride to stride. Even when Inter Miami was going through a bit of a lull across the board, every single player wasn't playing that well. Segovia started to come out of it much quicker. And I think his impact in the games now is, I think, after Messi, Alba, Busquets, I think Segovia is now starting to take the reins on how impactful he can be on the team. And you compare that with Allende on the other side, and it's bad game after bad game after bad game. So maybe he needs some time off, like a couple of games off the bench, and hopefully he can get his confidence back.
Well, that's what this should look like, right? You have a I'm going to get off the tracks.
I know. Let's just move on to the next chat. Mistiano needs to stop doing this, man. He always catches us off guard. Oh.
Tunde says
That
Red
was a
Bulls
good
were
one.
really poor, but the left side of our field was magnificent in the first half. If Inter Miami is able to get more out of their wide play on either side, they become a dominant force. And it's why it's so frustrating that we don't get Jordi Alba higher up the pitch on a consistent basis, and why when Allende and Cello are having poor games, like they had for the last couple, it does feel like you have nothing if it's not Messi just doing something centrally, and it becomes very easy and predictable to defend, and it's really hard to work with. And so then you see all of a sudden you get a little bit of effectiveness from one side of the pitch and everything opens up. It becomes easy. Now, I do want to say the Red Bull style is the style for Inter Miami to play against. Like, I think matchup wise, it is an incredible matchup for Inter Miami. That doesn't mean you're going to win every game 5-1. Like,
Yeah.
they deserve credit for going out and doing it. And a team in bad form, like, wouldn't necessarily do that. Like, they looked like a team in good form today, which is great to see. But I still want to see it against Cincinnati.
Yeah. Hopefully we can beat Cincinnati 6-1 because that's what we need to get over that loss.
Sean says, sadly, I don't think Bright becomes a starter. The outfield 10, as we will see from here on out. And I think we've done a good job of explaining this, but there were some poor performances, I thought, even though we won 5-1. And we'll dive into them again deeper tomorrow. But that was like it wasn't like everyone was a 9 out of 10. It was like there was a couple 5 out of 10s plus like 3 players just decided we're all going to try and beat Messi today, and they succeeded. And then also Messi was Messi. Like, there's stuff to work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else that caught your attention that we haven't talked about yet?
No, Fafa got a run out. I thought he was good. He needs more minutes, man. He's not in as much game rhythm as possible, but I think he looks better than Allende when he comes on. So if you still want to persist with a wide forward who's going to stretch the field out, give Fafa a run or two. Santi Morales got a run out. We saw a rare sighting of him, which was great.
I want to talk about him in a little bit. But
I thought
Calric
Kramaski
says,
once again looked really good. Very promising in a lot of good spaces.
okay, I do want to talk about Kramaski too. Calric says Red Bulls became way too conservative after their first goal. If they would have kept the pressure they did during the first 20 minutes, like Cincinnati, I think the Red Bulls could have pulled the win or a tie.
Yeah.
Miami responded immediately. Last game against Cincinnati, they gave up the goal. They didn't really change anything. And I think they scored in the 17th minute from Cincinnati in that last game. And Miami didn't really start trying to get forward until the 41st, 42nd minute. And they tried to get an equalizer right before half. This time they came back right away and were like, no, we're getting back in this right now. And I think not letting the game settle, not letting the opposition get confidence, I think is how you should respond. Now, if Inter Miami would do that in the first minute and get the lead, which we've seen them do plenty of times. Do you remember last year when it felt during the summer, there was like, we had a 2-0 lead by the 12th minute in like 4 straight games. That's what they should be trying to do. But at least as soon as they give up a goal, they just immediately put it back into high gear and try and get it back instead of just letting it settle.
This was different than the Cincy game as well, because I went like full on attacking mode. In Cincy, we were still prodding and poking, and of course, Cincinnati's structure was a lot better. Jordi Alba did not go as far as he did this game. So I think the Hail Mary that you throw, it comes with its risks where you can potentially concede a goal on the counter. But I think it worked in Inter Miami's favor, whereas after the 15 minutes, we really took the game to the Red Bulls.
Miem says, hit the like button. And guys, please do us a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe if you have it. Because Inter Miami just won 5-1. And that'll be good luck for the upcoming game against Cincinnati, which could be season defining. If they win that game, I think they're in a good position to do some really nice things this year. And if they lose, it becomes a lot tougher. Sean says Suarez with 9 assists, but he doesn't do anything to make the defense fear him. He's just there. Is that how you felt about his performance today?
I think there was some good positives from his performance, and the same. but largely a positive performance from him tonight. I think it was more so than just his presence. He was taking up some really good spaces, a really good ball into Messi that led to a goal, a couple of opportunities he could have had himself that eventually fell to someone else. So I thought he was much better today, and he did more tangible things that were positive.
Okay, I want to get back to the two players that I mentioned I wanted to talk about before I forget. Kramaski at left back, he looked way better and way more comfortable than he ever has when we put him at right back. And I think it's because he feels more comfortable sort of pushing the ball to his right foot and dribbling into space. And when you're on the right sideline, you don't have that luxury. Like he was taking guys on from that left back spot
Yeah,
and was
that's
happy
what
to
I was
do it.
thinking. I was like,
So
wow.
uh, I don't know if we want to convert him to fullback. I don't know if that's a good idea, but certainly compared to his time, the few minutes he's gotten at right back, I thought he was much better on the left side today. And I do think you can understand why it fits his skill set. And then for Santi Morales, like I think he was particularly impressive, but I do want to say his style of play, I think, is gonna be one that is hard to mesh with Messi. He's not. He doesn't have pace over long distance. I do think his like 5 to 10 yard bursts are pretty quick. Like he has, and you can see he's got real technical ability. But as long as Messi and Suarez and these guys are on the field, I think you need that. You need your players around him to have some better long pace. But I think he might be a guy that like steps into Messi's role really well. Not Messi's role, but like steps into that number 10 sort of pinpoint of the offense really well in 2028. So continuing to get minutes, I thought was really nice. And I thought there was probably room for Leo Alfonso and Ryan Saylor in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if Fafa Pico or um, Totavilis like needed to come into this game as much as, but that's just a personal preference. So I guess I'll leave it at that. If I can take us off track a little bit, Sor. Sean says Redondo looked bad the first 15 minutes, 8 million, and we aren't getting a penny of it back. I actually think Redondo will be really easy to sell back to Argentina if we want to, and if he wants to. Um, but I am interested to see what becomes of that midfield situation the minute Rodrigo de Paul comes in, because like we have a weakness in our wide players. We don't have much depth. We never rotate. Segovia's been a star, but he's not really a wide forward. And we have a glut of good midfielders. Um, so I really think Rodrigo de Paul, if you put him on that Allende side, that might be like where he's the most impactful off the, to start. I don't know if we're going to see that, but I have this feeling.
And more specifically on Redondo, I think he's hit his ceiling with this Inter Miami team. So that's all I'm going to say.
Well, the thing is, the MLS is a very fast league compared to Argentina. And so, like, I do think there's a real world where he goes back to Argentina and is way better off there for this experience. And like, he does just think quicker and it helps him in Libertadores. And like, just because I don't know how much more we're going to get out of him in Miami doesn't mean he hasn't improved dramatically when he does get to his next stop. A lot of people talking about Allende. We could probably leave it there. The Red Bulls. If Inter makes a run, that's a team we could play in the Eastern Conference in the first round, right? I can see them finishing 7th, 8th, right? 9th, somewhere in there. Certainly compared to like an Atlanta last season, that is not a team I would be afraid to play in the first round of a playoff series.
I just said we could play them every week and I'd be a happy man. I think their style matches up really well with Inter Miami.
Okay, Anton says Miami up to 5th in the Eastern Conference and climbing. I will just say Inter Miami started the day at 5th, but they do get an extra 3 points, and they are climbing in terms of the gap between them and the top of the East. Nashville's currently winning 1-0. It's the second half. If they win that game, they will be tied with Philadelphia at the top of the board. Philadelphia in a draw right now, 76th minute with Houston. So if those two scores remain the same, 47 points for both of them. Miami on 41. So we'll be 6 points behind with 3 games in hand. If Inter Miami is able to win that Cincinnati game, you're basically 3 points behind them with 3 games in hand, and you've beaten all of them over the course of the season. And I do think the schedule gets a little bit easier in that last 10 games or so. Like the path to win the Eastern Conference is still there. But I think
The
this
path to the
Cincinnati game
supporter
is
shield
huge.
is still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you win the
Um,
next 3 games that you have in hand, you go top by 50 points and you're ahead by 3 points.
yeah, but we're not really in control of what happens in the Western Conference. So, what San Diego does, we don't have any impact on. So it's hard for me to
Yeah.
predict what's going to happen there. I also think the Western Conference is a little bit easier. So the teams that are good there might be able to rack up wins.
Simple
But as
math.
far as
Just
winning the
keep
Eastern
winning your
Conference,
games.
yeah, just keep winning your games. And then if you beat Cincinnati, you'll have beaten them. You'll have beaten Nashville. You'll have beaten Columbus. You'll have beaten Philadelphia. So you will have a blueprint to beat all of these teams, right? So if they can beat Cincinnati this weekend, they should feel really good about where they are, what they've done, and what they can do moving forward. But that's it. You have to win that game, and then we can start having fun with those ideas. And then you add Rodrigo de Paul and maybe another center back and maybe we can really start to dream if they can win that game. Tunde says, Scotty, I tell you, Kremaski was not on frame for that assist. It looked like a bad pass until Kremaski teleported there. I'm not sure which play that is.
Oh, this is for the Suarez assist, I think. The 5th goal.
Okay, well, we will rewatch it, and I will keep that in mind, and we'll see it for tomorrow's episode. Elmer says Inter Miami's back because of Lujan.
Oh, please, no.
I mean, he's been back for one game.
And we just won 5-1. So
5-1.
you're right. Absolutely.
But it's also just as likely that it's Rocco in goal. So I think I'm going to give Rocco the credit for that one. Nick Smith says Lujan had 3 passes to the wrong team that led to the chances for them right back to his old self. I actually thought Lujan was just absurdly bad the first 15 minutes of the game. But I'll save that for tomorrow. Okay, Saur, final thoughts on this game. I'm going to run through the chat and see if there's anything we didn't talk about yet. But Inter Miami won 5-1. This is a great, good performance. And the All-Star game's coming up this week. I think we can feel good about what Inter Miami has going for them.
5-star performance, man. I think we keep talking about how Messi pulls this team out of a problem. Today we had 4 Messis on the pitch. If not, 4 Messis on the pitch. The front line looked fantastic when they actually started playing. And we need more of this. But for tonight, I'm happy. I am excited to do a post-game show, which hasn't been the case for a long while. So that speaks volumes. Lord Lujan carrying us to victory. 5 goals, 1 poorly conceded goal, but overall, let's go into that Cincy game with some confidence and let's take the league by storm. If we win the next game, we can start talking about how Inter Miami can win the Supporter Shield. But that was a great bounce back win,
Okay.
and congratulations.
Hold on. We're not closing up shop here. We got some good comments. Are you missing calendar? Rocco Missiano says Rocco needs to be in goal because he will force Mascherano to not play defensively. Okay, I know we touched on Rocco, but we didn't really touch on it in the context of how we feel about him moving forward. We said he didn't have a lot to do. We gave him blame for the goal, but there's a chance that was his only start. But if it's not, do you feel more confident in him going into next weekend's game, into the Leagues Cup, into a potential 6 weeks? Did this change your opinion at all?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to go up against some tough teams that are going to score a lot of goals or shoot a lot of shots on our goal. And he had a good performance. Let's just say that.
So says people have a calendar, Leagues Cup bias, sunglasses on. He was mid the rest of the games. I can just assure you, statistically, that is not true. And I will add that is the idea that he was mid for most of the rest of the games. It comes from the idea that Inter Miami was so good at basically everything else that we were just nitpicking anything that would live so that we could figure out ways to improve. But compared to what we're seeing this year, the goalkeeping play is much worse. But I digress. Eat a banana and drink a Gatorade. Sean says, I agree with the poor performance, but Mascherano is so stubborn. This is something I did want to say about Mascherano. We blamed Tata Martino for being really stubborn last year. And then one of the things we kind of liked about, in terms of the idea of him back in the offseason, was that he was going to be like a young coach who would like learn and grow on the job. And he is certainly more stubborn than any coach Inter Miami's ever had. Obviously, Phil Neville was definitely willing to experiment and try things and try and manipulate his style of play and his formations to get the best out of his players. What we've seen Javier Mascherano is like the most stubborn we've seen from any coach, which is really interesting because he is. This is his first job, right? So Naya says subscribe, and I second that. We're actually getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which is, as Jay says, less than 70 to go. So if anyone is willing to help us get there, we would certainly appreciate it. That's not something we ask for a lot, but I think it would be really cool to get to that number. Okay, Saur, now you can wrap it up. Wrap us up.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's been a great show. Inter Miami winning 5-1, putting on a show against Red Bulls. I think this has become a favorite opponent. As I said, great way to come back from that Cincinnati loss. But that just means one thing. You have to go into that game against Cincinnati at home and put on the same show, win that game, and then we can talk about Inter Miami being finally back. Messi with another brace, Segovia with a brace, Suarez with a decent performance. We'll be back tomorrow for a full dissection of the game and a proper analysis of what went wrong, what went absolutely right. And until then, Scotty, do you have any final words before we wrap it up for the night?
Yeah. Tunde says, what are the sources for
Oh, no.
Turner being better? You just go look at his post shot expected. You just go look at the number of goals we give up. Like if you just start looking, it becomes pretty clear. But we will wrap it up there. I don't want to get started on a whole other rant. So, guys, we will be back tomorrow for a full game breakdown, give out awards, all that good stuff. But until then, hope you have a lovely night. Enjoy this 5-1 win. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All hail Lord Hoover.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.